Hi, this is Elizabeth New with Washington Policy Center. I want to talk with you today about Senate Bill 5041, which would allow striking workers to collect unemployment insurance benefits. The Unemployment Insurance Fund is financed by employers and meant for workers who lose work through no fault of their own. Making employers pay striking workers and taking money from that fund harms businesses and the majority of workers, and it could impact the state's economy and taxpayers. Unions should be the ones offering their members pay to get through a strike of their urging. What better purpose could there be for union dues? This bill is even worse than a similar one last year that would have allowed people on strike to collect UI benefits for 4 weeks. This year's bill would allow for 12 weeks. That's 3 months. You can imagine how harmful it would have been to the UI fund if this law was in place last year when Boeing machinists were on strike for 7 weeks. Actually, you don't have to imagine. The Employment Security Department crunched the numbers related to providing UI benefits to striking workers in a large Boeing-style work stoppage. Paying 30,000 workers the max benefit under this year's version of the bill, 3 months, would have cost the fund around $367 million. We dodged a Boeing-sized bullet, and we might not in the future. By trying to help a minority of workers or their unions, lawmakers will hurt the majority of workers if 5041 passes. It could even hurt the state budget and taxpayers. That's because the bill allows public employees who strike to collect UI benefits, even though they are prohibited from striking. This will cost school districts, kids, families, and a state agency. If employees are paid for their contract but are also collecting UI benefits, that would be considered an overpayment, but recovering overpayments is not a guarantee. Estimates show that the state might recoup less than 50% of overpayments. This bill would likely encourage more frequent strikes, but the fiscal note makes no mention of that. It doesn't account for that possibility, nor does it take into account our state's experience with large strikes and work stoppages. It actually uses the experience of a state on the East Coast, which recently adopted a law like this. We're not New Jersey, and the law is too new there to draw any conclusions. We can't afford to make Washington state an even less friendly state in which to do business. We already are ranking near the bottom of the list. Governor Ferguson should get his veto pen ready. Even Governor Gavin Newsom rejected a similar bill in California because of the threat it posed there. Maybe he saw a more accurate estimate of how much paying striking workers would cost the state. Senate Bill 5041 has the potential to hurt far more workers than it helps and is a favor to unions at the expense of the majority of workers, employers, and consumers in the state. Lawmakers should refuse to work for the unions this time around and let them put their members' money where their mouths are. They should take on paying workers who go on strike, not expect employers to. Thanks for listening.